to even add on to what you're saying, okay, so there was the darkness, right? But then there was also like the use of patterns, right? For survival. It's like, like, okay, after so many sunrises, it's gonna start getting colder. After so many sunsets, it's gonna start getting warmer. You know what I'm saying? Like all of those things of like seeing patterns in the world were useful for survival. And so now that same mechanism that's always looking for patterns can maybe sometimes look for patterns that are not there. Like
then you have conspiracy theories
and stuff like that.
QAnon.
I feel you.
Which is a beast now. I can't believe what QAnon is a thing, bro. Like
everything.
Like swaying the election thing. 70 million voters thing. My goodness, bro. That's our whole country, bro. Now when I do the numbers, that's insane. Imagine if everybody in South Africa Donald fucking Trump. Oh,
yeah, that's our whole population, actually. Yeah. It's literally our whole population. But yet and still, even with all of that,
I just say I'm with YG on this? Fuck Donald Trump, just to put it out there. Excuse my French. I hope they're understanding me catching that, but that has to be out there, though.
I do not disagree with you, my good fellow.
Sure.
But yet and still, I feel like that mechanism, right, is also the same. I don't think it's the mechanism that's the problem. I think it's how it's warped that's the problem. Because that mechanism is still the same mechanism that gives us our most beautiful art. You know what I'm saying? Our greatest architecture, scientific inquiry and discovery. It's that same mechanism that makes you look for patterns, that makes you, that makes you fear the dark and want to have answers, to know everything. Do you know what I'm saying?
Because you're right, though. That's what creativity is. Like, for instance, you and I as wordsmiths, right? Everybody knows words, right? Everybody knows words. If you read a lot, you know lots of words. But it takes that mindset to figure out the words that sound nice together and then to put them together. So obviously like that, yeah. But then for me, what you're saying then brings up what I'm always saying is that mental health is so important, because if you are feeling extra scared and extra vulnerable in the world, then you're gonna cling to whatever's supposedly the light and the warmth.
And this is what I wanted to understand. Yeah, what does that say about like a lot of our people, where we are? Why do we want to believe in like our papas, so much? Why are we afraid?
I think that's
something that's been, put in our heads.
Definitely. I think a lot of us are actually scared and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And we know it, but it's hard for us to say it. You know what I mean? Which is why it's easier to go to church. Because when you go to church, you're surrounded by other people that are recognizing the same thing, that we're all vulnerable. We all don't know. But none of us ever have to admit that. Like now we can just listen to our papa and then everything gonna be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and the confidence with which Papa speaks is just like, I know they have a sixth sense, right, about the world, and they can see the future, predict the future.
Me, all I'm gonna say is thank God.
It's gonna be a great year.
All I'm gonna say is thank God that my life led me to the streets, where I know like full-time scam artist, and now you know what it sounds like when a nigga's trying to run you up. Whereas everybody else in regular life never thinks like that. Because for instance, like if you thought like that, then you would never trust anything. How would anybody trust? Like for instance, if you're a landlord, how would you rent to anyone if you were looking for scammers the whole time? Or like if you were an employee, why would you go to work for anyone? Because they don't pay you the first day you arrive. Do they? You have to work for like 30 days.
You trust them for 30
you have to. And after 30 days, they gonna do what they. In the meantime, you're borrowing taxi money to get to work. You know what I mean? You're borrowing money for lunch. So you're spending money in the hopes that after this, they might. And that's a deep level of trust. Like this is part, okay, no, I can't say that. But ain't nobody taking 30 days of my money, bro. You got about a good 7 days. After that, it's fine, bro. Keep that money, bro. But then you have to answer to my ancestors. I'm over it. After 7 days, keep it. But my ancestors.
So you work like a weekly wage.
Pretty much. And even wage, I don't like that, bro. That's what I prefer to, like, I think that's probably also why I like where my mindset is at now is I prefer to live in a world where we're all entrepreneurs and everything is based on exchange, which means already you bring the product or service, I bring the money. We exchange. Finished. I don't have to know you. I don't have to like you. I don't have to trust you. I just have to trust the product. Or you have to trust the money. Then we're good. We're out of each other's hair. But that type of thinking, even to get to that type of thinking, means already you can't be in that fragile or vulnerable place where you can't trust anyone or where you don't know that things are going to work out. You know what I mean? You have to trust yourself enough that whatever product or service you're bringing, your word is good enough in the moment. So well, that's the thing. And I think that's probably what it is that it's a reflection of how many of us are actually vulnerable, scared, feeling lonely. So if somebody comes and they like telling you all that, not only do I have all the answers, but also I'm going to show you how you can become a part of something, right? You'll never be alone again. You'll never wonder again. It's basically like they came and got you from the cave. Yeah. Or they came and brought like all the modern technology to the cave. Yeah. So now why would you want to leave the cave to go find out what else is outside? If you can have the sunshine and all the peace and the comfort and the security in here, why are you going to go out there and find out, or no, actually, a lot of coal was used to create this electricity, and that coal is now affecting the globe in a negative way. And that's probably why those people, those QAnon, them Trumpsters, that's why they can't believe in things like global warming. Because they want everything that makes them feel safer and more secure in the world. If you tell them that no, the world is still the same dark, lonely, dangerous place that it was for our ancestors.
And we're making it worse.
They don't want to hear that. Ain't trying to hear that. Ain't trying to hear that. It's like, Pastor, whoever's flock, bro. If you tell them, oh, homie, do you realize that in the 10 years that you've been tithing, you could have been driving the same car that your pastor's driving. Or you could have invested in the taxi industry, and now you could have had 2 cars that the pastor's driving. Or you could have taken that money, invested it on the stock market. You think they're going to listen to you, bro? And people give monies at church. I'm talking about monies, dog. Like rent monies, university fee monies. Money.
I think what would be really dope would be like a way, since they don't pay tax, and I know a lot of churches have like programs that have like outreach programs and like feeding schemes.
Hey, bro, ZCC as a whole, like ZCC is actually doing the things. Yeah, it's got a school, I think clinics also.
I'm not sure about
schools. I mean, that's dope. If there was because they kind of like operate outside of the law.
Who?
To a degree, like churches and stuff.
How so? How do they operate outside of the law?
Well, not outside of the law. That's extreme.
They live in that tax-free life.
They live in that tax-free life, though. So it would be interesting as sort of like a counterbalance to that, to be like, okay, you guys are not paying tax, but now we need to know your community responsibility programs. Kind of like, do you know what I'm saying? Like we need to be able to track, measure, not control, not direct.
Just track, measure.
Just track, measure. Like, okay, you are like giving back.
Sure.
You're not a Rolls Royce fund or a Learjet fund.
I don't think we're ever gonna see that day, because the reason why I was gonna say it brings up an important question is why do churches not pay taxes? Because any other organization that's receiving funds is supposed to pay taxes, right? Any other organization that's receiving funds, I suppose, unless you're an NGO, but then the set goal of the NGO is to take those funds to directly produce services. Whereas there's no such mandate for the church.
Yeah, they can do whatever.
They just have to make you feel good, and if you feel good enough to drop 1,000, go ahead, my brother.
They've done their
let
job.
Jesus use you. Let the Lord use you. Let the Lord use you.
But also as a counterpoint, because I don't want it to end up feeling like, okay, we're just going after church here, or church is bad.
Sorry, I forgot what I was saying. Like what I was trying to say was the reason why the government would allow churches to not pay taxes is because the government wants the type of power that church has, which is unquestionable authority, because that's what church has. If they tell you the minimum tithe in this church is 1,000, homie, people gonna find that 1,000, bro. People that's struggling, people that, I'm talking about niggas that ain't paying child support, they're gonna find that 1,000 to put into church.
But how does that benefit the government?
Because like now you have an electorate of people that are willing to accept things from authorities without question. So when you tell them vote for me,
that same energy.
The same place, for instance, that your pastor, like the same place in the hierarchy of your mind that your pastor, the same place that he holds, right? That position of power in your mind that your pastor holds is the same one that your president uses. So that's why the president needs you to go to church. So that, because first, the pastor's going to tell you this is God's will, right? And then the pastor's also going to tell you that this president was elected by God, right? Then when the president speaks, now that's also God's will. You understand? And the only way they can get you is if you're looking for a savior. Because if you're just like, nah, fam, it's fine, I'll figure out God's will for myself. If you're the type of person, like if you're thinking like me, where it's like, listen, all I need a government for is to be like referees, basically. Make sure the competition is fair, and I'll play my ass off and I'll win, because I know I can win. I have that much confidence in myself, right? But that's not what's currently happening. Right now, they need the game to be fixed in their direction. Which is why I think like the reason why people are so brainwashed and so brainwashable is there's a constant program running, like we're saying, they use the church, the government is in on it. Damn it, our parents are in on it. How long did our parents lie to us about boogeymen and strange things that we've never seen as a way of controlling us? So instead of explaining to a child why they can't go outside at night, because they can't see so well, so they might run, fall, hit themselves, now you have to make up stories about
Yeah, but you gotta do though, because kids won't listen.